Congratulations, the HR department just called you. Maybe it's your first interview for cybersecurity position. Maybe you've been on several interviews, but you haven't just been able to land that job yet. Either case, in this series, we're going to explore different interview techniques that you can utilize to answer some of those daunting questions. We're going to start at the very basics, the very foundations, and show how you should be answering these questions that put you above your peers that are applying for that same position. After all, if we're interviewing for a cybersecurity job, we're usually interviewing between 5 and 10 people. This gives you a 10 to 20% chance of landing that job. That's between 4 and 9 people that you need to be out for that specific position. It may seem overwhelming, but if you follow these tips and techniques, you should be okay and at least get ahead of the peers when it comes to actually landing this position. Let's set the scene. You've got the job interview. Before the job interview, about an hour beforehand, you dress appropriately. You've got a button-down shirt on. You're wearing a tie with a double Windsor knot, not a single Windsor. There is a difference. You're setting your pants as slacks, not blue jeans. You're wearing dress shoes, not tennis shoes. You have a clear line, meaning that from males, from the top of the tie all the way down to the center of the belt line, yes, you should be wearing a belt, you've got a row of buttons that is horizontal. Now, we know that's going to change because when you get in the car, things are going to get shifted around. We'll get to that in a minute. You're clean shaven, or if you have a beard, a goatee, it doesn't really matter in today's day and age. It's trimmed up nicely. Your hair is actually appropriate, or in my case, you just don't have any, so you don't have to worry about it. Either case, you look professional. If you have tattoos, you're hiding them. We're not wearing a short sleeve shirt. We're wearing a long sleeve shirt. We're buttoning the cuffs of the shirt. Now, you don't need to wear a jacket. A blazer is completely optional at this point, and most people don't waste their time with it. It's almost considered to be overdressed at this point, and that's okay. Ladies, I wish I had some good tips for you, but I grew up without any sisters whatsoever. Most women I know, when I talk to them about what men wear, they know exactly what to wear. They're far better at this than I am when it comes to actual style and going through that process. But you look professional, and your hair is done well. You set the stage. You know that you're ready to go to work, and it looks like you're ready to go to work. You drive up and you arrive to the interview point, to the parking lot, at least 15 minutes early. Technically, you should be about 20 to 30 minutes early, and there's a reason behind that. You don't know what the parking is going to look like. Do they have a parking garage? Do they not have a parking garage? How long is it going to take to get through security? All of these are valuable points that you need to address as you're going through. Now, this is where a careful wait comes into play. If you're smart, you've gone through and reconned the actual interview place ahead of time so that you know if there's parking or there's parking garage or parking is going to be an issue, that you'll have plenty of time to park your car. Regardless of the situation, we want to arrive a minimum of 15 minutes early through our interview and a maximum of 20 minutes. So right around that point, 15 to 20 minutes is when we want to get to the parking lot. We want to park the car, get everything organized 15 minutes beforehand. When we get out of the car, we're going to look at the mirror. We're going to make sure that we're dressed appropriately. Ladies, did your makeup smudge? Do you need to fix it real quick? Guys, did your hair get messed up? Did your tie get messed up? Is everything in line? Do you look the part that says, I'm ready to interview? You should take one quick glance at yourself and understand it. Did you bring copies of your resume? This is often overlooked, but something that you should really do. You can expect to have 3 to 4 interviewees, or interviewers, I should say, in your interview, which means you need to bring 3 to 4 copies of your resume. 4 copies is generally a good idea. 5 at most. I really don't see more interviews with more than 4 people, usually. So you've got everything ready. You put those resumes in a folder, not by hand. You could smudge it. Your hands are going to be sweaty. You're nervous. It's okay. Bring a folder. When you go through the interview process, you've got your cell phone. I know this is a new concept for my generation, but you've got a cell phone. What are you doing with that cell phone? My recommendation, throw it in the car and leave it there. Don't pay any attention to it. Just forget about it. And there's several reasons that we're going to get into in a little bit about why you should do that. Once you're done, you grab your keys, you lock up your car. You don't need to bring your wallet, hide it underneath the seat, hide it in the glove box. If you feel like you need to take it with you, that's fine. But we don't want our pockets bulging. We want to look as best we can as that professional person ready to show up and working today. That's our goal. We're going to go through the process and we're going to walk diligently in a straight line. We're not going to jump around. We're not going to skip. We're not going to do any of those things. And we're going to walk towards where we need to go. Sometimes that'll be in a different building. Sometimes it won't. If it's in a different building or if it's on a campus and you have the capability, they should have given you directions on how to get there or where to check in. The more complicated the complex, the more detailed the instructions are going to be, and the more time you need to provide on the back end to make sure you found the right spot. When we get to the doors, we want to be there again between 10 and 15 minutes to check into security. Most SOCs or entry level positions in cybersecurity are in technical facilities. And so you're going to walk through the front door. You may have to be buzzed in. You're going to meet with the security guard. You're going to sign in, and we should be sitting down or waiting for the interviewer within 10 minutes. 10 minutes is the key. Not 2 minutes, not 8 minutes, not negative minutes. 10 minutes early. There's an old saying, if you're not 10 minutes early, you're 10 minutes late. You need to follow those instructions. If you go through that process, you'll be fine. During that 10 minutes, expect to wait between 10 to 20 minutes. It happens. And I just told you to not bring your phone. So what are you going to do for those 20 minutes? Read over your resume. Think about how you're going to answer questions. Think about and prepare yourself mentally for the process of going through an interview. We get the interview process. You should have somebody walk up and greet you. They'll look at you. They're going to look you up and down. Regardless of how they may look at you, believe it or not, they are judging you. And that's okay. We want them to. We want them to judge our professional appearance to all the other candidates that didn't judge professionally or didn't dress professionally. And that's fine because we did. So we're already one notch above them. And that's a good thing. They're going to meet up with you. As soon as you see somebody standing or walking towards you, you need to stand up if you're sitting down. You need to extend your hand and shake their hand, and they're going to say, "Hi, is this da-da-da?" And you're going to say, "Yes, I am. How are you today?" You're going to start small talk. Now, they may ask you some questions. You need to ask and answer those questions back. You want to be as social, if not more, than they are. A lot of times, the person coming to get you is an administrative assistant, or there's somebody else that's working in the field. Don't discount them. We had an interviewer one time that was incredibly rude to our administrative assistant, and we didn't hire them because of it, even though they had the right credentials. You need to be professional and courteous to everyone you meet, including that security guard. I cannot stress this enough. This is how people are judging you. And if you can't be nice and professional to people who work around you, then I'm definitely not going to hire you. They're probably going to lead you into a conference room. This conference room will usually have between 1 and 3 panel members associated with it. Maybe one of the panel members is the person who brought you up. It really depends on who's available at the time and what they want to utilize for their interview process. Every process is a little bit different and how they interview people as well as where they interview people, but it's also kind of the same. Most cases, it's going to be a conference room. They're going to stand up and they're going to greet you and they're going to say hi and they're going to introduce themselves one at a time. This is the perfect opportunity to hand them a copy of your resume unless you got fuddled up. If you did, that's okay. Let's keep the folder in our hand. It's not a big deal. Remember, we want it to be smooth and professional. We don't want to be like, "Oh, hold on. Let me grab this interview resume." No, we want it to be very smooth and composed. Like we're in charge of the situation around us. That's the good point, right? All right, so they've introduced themselves and they're either going to sit down, in which case go ahead and take a seat, or they're going to ask you to take a seat, in which case go ahead and take a seat, compose yourself. If you haven't already, open up that folder and hand them copies of the resume. Do not throw the resumes at them. Do not slide the resumes at them. We want to hand the resume to them. If they politely decline, that's okay. Offer it to the next person. If they all decline, that's fine. They probably have copies of it anyway. It's not a big deal. We're going to put the folder away. It can either go on our lap or it can go on the floor next to us. We're not going to bend down. You can literally just slouch over and drop it on the floor. And yes, I'm being nitpicky, but there's a reason for this. I have to explain it because if I don't, I've literally seen somebody that took the folder and then they blew up when nobody wanted their resume. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised too. And so that person obviously didn't get the job. So we want to put the resume folder down, sit straight in our chair with our hands in our lap. We're going to be very composed. We're not going to slouch. We're not going to put our feet up on the desk. I know. I'm saying some pretty obvious things here, but I'm saying them for a reason. So once we've composed ourselves and we set ourselves aside, we look professional, we look the part, they should start to ask a question. The first question is almost always the same. The dreaded, "Tell me about yourself." This question, while easy, fuddles more people than I care to mention. It's a quite simple question if you know how to answer it, but it's detrimental if you don't. And here's the problem. It's a very simple question. I want to know about you, not about anything else, not about your parents, not about your kids, not about your wife, not about your trials and tribulations. I want to know what you're going to do for my company or what your experience is with the company. So let's break this down. I call this the 3 W's+1, meaning we're going to answer this question in 4 stages. The first stage is, what have I done? Have I completed Security Plus recently? Have I completed a bachelor's degree recently? What have I done in the past that matters to move me into cybersecurity? That's my goal. I want to bring up cybersecurity as often as possible throughout the entire interview process. I want to showcase that I am ready for a cybersecurity position. So first part of that question, what have I done? What have I done related to cybersecurity? Once we've answered this first part, I'm going to pause slightly.
What if my legendary acting ability didn't rise from the grave with me? I'd better test it with a dramatic...
Is he all right?
Pause!
And the reason I'm pausing is they may congratulate me. They may be on a process that they want to ask another question. I don't want to cut off anybody. I want to be very formal with my talk. I want to slow down a little bit. I want to relax. I want to feel like I'm in control of the conversation. So by answering it, what have I done lately? I may start my interview as, well, I recently graduated with my bachelor's in cybersecurity. Pause. It's quite simple. We're going to pause for 1 to 3 seconds. It's not going to be that long. Long enough for if they want to inject a question or say congratulations, that's great. If they say congratulations, we're going to say thank you. If they ask us a question, we're going to answer it. When we say thank you, we're going to move on with the rest of our answer. We don't want to just stop there, right? So the next part, what am I currently doing in cybersecurity? Well, I'm currently working on my CYSA Plus certification. I'm currently working on a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity. I'm currently working on an online course to achieve X. Whatever I'm doing, what am I doing now that will contribute to helping your company better protect its assets, because I'm staying up to date with the most current, and I'm trying to get trained on my own time, on my own dime. I'm trying to do things for you that makes me a better cybersecurity employee. That's the goal. The next part, what I want to be doing after I've completed this. So we're providing them 2 steps forward. In this case, I already mentioned in my example that we recently got our Security Plus certification. Let's say that we're currently working on CYSA. Now what do I want to be doing in the future? Maybe I want to be completing a home lab. Maybe I want to set up or complete a bachelor's degree. Maybe I want another certification. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it relates back to cybersecurity. And then finally, the last part, where do I want to be? Where do I want to be in 1 to 3 years? This is a common overlooked portion. So in its entirety, I'm telling them, what have I done recently? What am I currently doing? What am I going to do next? And what am I going to do in the next 1 to 3 years? If I answer this question correctly, it's going to set me ahead of all my peers. I'm going to be one up on them. A lot of people come to this question and they talk about family, or they talk about, well, I did this or I did this. You want to have this question firmly scripted in your mind. And we want to pause in case they have questions.
Pause!
I recently completed my Security Plus certification. I'm currently working on my CYSA certification, and I'm hoping to complete my bachelor's degree in cybersecurity by the end of the year. Really, I want to get involved in incident response. That's really, truly my dream job moving forward. And I hope that this company can provide me that avenue to grab those dreams and really stick with it. Now, you'll notice that I did some really good keywords in there. I pointed out not only that we already have Security Plus, not only are we currently working on CYSA, which is a cybersecurity analyst position, and in this particular example, it's a SOC position. A CYSA certification directly feeds into that SOC position. They literally are one and the same. And so if they know that you're currently working on it, you're probably ahead of somebody else that's going, oh, well, this, and they're not working on anything. I'm also working on a bachelor's degree. Now, it doesn't have to be a bachelor's degree. It could be a master's degree. It could be a degree at all. It could be maybe you're working on a home lab. Maybe you're working on some type of avenue to grab more certifications. Whatever it is, we're relating it back to cybersecurity. And then finally, the last part, where do I want to be? I know that this position is a SOC analyst, but in 3 years, I would really like to be incident response. Incident response is a direct feeder from cybersecurity or from a SOC analyst. So most likely that company already has that role. And if you're expressing an interest in it, then they know that you're willing to grow with the company. This is important because you're showcasing that you want to stay in cybersecurity and you're planning on being there long term. We're putting in keywords. We're making that bias of this guy wants to be in cybersecurity past just 6 months. They're not going to just find another job in 1 year. They want to do incident response, and we have that job to offer them. You have a clear-cut plan of action to move your career forward. This really is the definition of when somebody asks you, tell me about yourself, this is what we're referring to.